Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 213. This show is about anything and everything related to the Destiny franchise. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we find ourselves preparing for a host of changes to how the game will play, beginning with Shadowkeep. Bungie details updates incoming to supers, abilities, and the Crucible, and we wrap up talking a little about what we're up to in between Mars Nightfalls. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's AER0KNIGHT, and of course, CyborgSasquatch. Hello, buddy.
Hello, AER0KNIGHT.
How are you?
You know, I'm doing all right. I've accomplished many things this week.
Many things.
But alas, my back hurts.
Dude, it's been a crazy week. We were talking about it. You sound like you've been busy.
Yeah.
It's been busy on my end. It is, yeah, it's busy.
Yep. It's just one of those weeks, and lots of stuff coming at us in the TWAB this week. A lot of news, a lot of deets. Them deets.
Director's Cut Part 4, I guess.
Yeah.
Unofficially.
Well, you know, it's getting really close to the launch of Shadowkeep, and had this been the week before the original release, right, we'd be seeing Shadowkeep, a week or so from now, right? When it the 17th? Yeah.
I think so.
So we're getting a lot of stuff that I'm sure that they were kind of already prepared to talk about. Specifically, a lot more specific changes that are upcoming to the sandbox and other things. And so I'm sure we're going to see more of that stuff roll out, and just a steady stream of more details until
I know launch. I was not expecting quite that much in our TWAB this week, and then already lining up for what's going to be in there next week. And man, there's plenty.
It feels so close, but it's still 4 weeks away, man. It feels so far.
I'll tell you what, though, I've thought about it this week. There's so much to do in Destiny. I don't want to forget to say this in Reset. There's so much to do in our favorite game these days. I enjoy these times right now. I really do. I mean, I enjoy when new content comes out, obviously. But like right now, I just log in, I'm kind of relaxed, and I go finish stuff that I've wanted to finish for a while.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
It's a different type of enjoyment, when we're in this end of a content cycle. And then, of course, it's just hype train when new stuff is dropping. But
there's no shortage of stuff to do. It's just kind of pick your pleasure.
Right. Yep. Like I finished a thing or two up this week. Now I'm working on something else, or last reset, this reset. Now I'm, moving on to something else. And I got to say, like, the delay is excellent. It's been excellent for me. Like to think about jumping right into Shadowkeep, like we said here in the next week or so, just, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
It would have been fine. But yeah, I'm totally cool with this kind of little relaxation, kind of coasting time we've got here.
For sure.
So, yep. Anyways.
Well, there's no time to relax, however, if you're on Mars.
No.
Because there's Hive to slay.
Still haven't done my Nightfall.
Worm gods to kill.
Apparently others have, though.
There's quite a few others that have. Surprising, even. But we'll get to that. First, let's start the show.
Let's start it up.
Do we have any announcements? I know we had some action in the Discord this week.
Oh, yes. The team's been working hard, the Dirt Fam team. We are working together like always. We had, we'll call the mastermind of the new features in the Dirt Fam Discord. Shout out to Dirt Fam clan member, clan leader, Snatching Panda. He brought an idea to our attention, and the team has been working on it ever since and kind of fine-tuning it. And we launched, if you aren't familiar with the 100.io website, LFG website, where you can basically create activities in Destiny and basically just kind of little fire team activities, join and such, things like that. We utilized their website to integrate it into our Discord. So we now have a 100 IO bot command channel that will allow you to create activities, and it will throw it in our other new channel, which is our upcoming activities channel. And right inside of the Dirt Fam Discord, you can join, create activities, plan ahead, join activities, see what people are doing in the Dirt Fam. And the goal is to just get more people in the Dirt Fam fire teaming up and make it easier for you to do that. We just launched it this reset. I'm sure you guys saw in the Discord. So there's a little bit of a learning aspect to it. But I think once we get a hang on it, it's going to be pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah, and the idea is that if you want to host an activity or you want to take part in an activity, if you were going to start it up, you use the bot, and once you get signed up and everything linked, you do it all through Discord, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of create the type of activity you want. Maybe say it was a raid and you wanted to go do Crown of Sorrows. You would start it up and set a day and a time. And then people could see that activity in a channel that it's scheduled to happen, kind of browse through and see, oh, there's a raid tonight at 9:00. I would like to take part in that. And they can just through a few clicks jump on in and schedule to play that activity with you. And so, we found that sometimes, especially in our Discord, where it's not just there for an LFG, right? It's social and, chat, and there's a lot of different, reasons people jump in our Discord to hang out. So when you might go to an LFG channel in the Discord, people maybe aren't using it for the exact moment they want to do something, Mm-hmm. So this helps a little bit with planning things ahead, and also the ability for you to go and just see a list of activities that might be upcoming or going on, without having to scroll maybe through a whole bunch of conversations about activities. So you can almost see like a menu, like, oh, okay, hey, somebody wants to do the Nightfall in an hour, or somebody's looking right now to go do the Outbreak Prime mission or something, stuff like that. So we're hoping that this will help players in our community connect better and have better success planning or finding each other, finding people to play with, because, it's funny, there's hundreds, almost even thousands in our community, and sometimes we have a hard time connecting. So the idea is to help facilitate that.
Yes. Yep. It's really cool. Panda kind of had a little side Discord that he set up for many Dirt Fam members just to kind of schedule some raids and such, and that's where this idea originated from. And he's kind of shared with us that it really shines with raiding. It can be used, of course, for anything. And like you said, the big point of it is to be able to plan ahead and kind of scroll through there and see what people are doing and join and plan for a future, activity that you can fire team up and do. And it's not to say the typical normal LFG channels that have been there will always, they'll still be there. But this one is to maybe allow you to plan, like Cyborg said, and organize a bit more. So I think once we, even myself, like there's some bot commands to learn. But what you need to do is go check out the announcement that we threw up today, which today is Friday, so you're hearing this on Monday. But there's an announcement and a little message from Snatching Panda and the team. And go to that bot channel, the 100 bot command channel, and just type !help, and you'll get a DM from the 100 IO bots, and it'll show you all the commands that you can type in, how to create a group. And the other thing you can do is one of the next ones you're going to want to do is !link, and that will link your account through the Discord to the website. So those are the first two things you want to do, and then just kind of read up on the message, and you'll learn how to post. And we think once the community gets used to it and everything, it's going to be pretty neat. So shout out to the team again for the hard work.
Yeah. They've been working hard on this for like weeks.
Yeah.
To research, this is implement, roll this out.
Testing, all that good stuff. So hopefully we had minimal minimal launch issues today. But yeah, so give us your feedback, of course, and what you think. And this is just hopefully one of many ideas that we're going to continue to work on for the Discord. And yeah, we're excited. It's good stuff.
Yeah,
Great
we
stuff.
want to make whatever tools we have as good as they can be for the people that want to be part of the Derp Fam community. So we're going to continue to work on those and work on how we can, as a team, like serve, you, the listener, the player better, in helping facilitate like relationships, connecting with people, having success and playing the game and forming bonds with other Guardians.
The friend game.
That friend game is the end
friend
game,
as Deej would call it.
Yeah,
yeah, and I think it's probably appropriate time to shout out our Discord link. If you haven't joined and you think you want to, you've been thinking about it for a while, go for it. A lot of nice, awesome Guardians in the Derp Fam Discord. It's discord.gg/Destiny Resets.
Yeah, and you may have never used Discord if you're not, in other communities where it's used. I had a Guardian message me just this week, and he said, "Hey, I joined the Discord, and I'm jumping in for the first time, and it's awesome, and just kind of just getting their hands a little dirty and something new, but come try it out. It's kind of like a chat server if you've never used an app or a service like this."
And
really
once you
handy.
join, you will get probably a DM from one of the Derp Fam team members just saying hey and welcoming you, and then you can just lurk for a little while if you want.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be bombarded by messages or anything. You can just lurk. You don't have to post until you're ready to do so.
All right.
So there you go.
Yep. So that's that. So announcements aside, it's time for some news, and there's a lot of it this week.
And there is. We're going to be in the TWAB for a while, dude.
Yeah, you ready? Ready for some news? Ready
I
to
think
get your
so.
hands dirty? A lot to
I think
discuss. There's a lot to discuss this week. All right. This week at Bungie, Mars is on the mind. Not the god of war, but the planet. As you know, there's a community event going on. First community challenge with Mars as the destination of choice. As of the TWAB, they put up a little snapshot of where we were. I know that even as of today, it's progressed some. But two of the objectives, which were, I believe, EP bosses and maybe what was this other one? Was it Hive Majors or something? Those are 100% done. So there's 3 objectives left to complete as of Thursday when the TWAB came out, which was killing Nokris in the Nightfall and killing Zol in the Nightfall. And then we were about halfway on the goal of 300 million Hive to kill. So I'm confident over the weekend, these are probably going to get smashed.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially the
looks
Nightfalls, like if people just hang out and farm some Nightfalls over the weekend, it'll get done. It'll get done. But I'm surprised how fast this got destroyed, man.
I know. I was curious to
Especially
see,
that
but
EP.
yeah, it's crazy. It's
Some
just, I mean, there's
serious
a
EP.
lot of people playing Destiny, but still, those are some crazy numbers.
Respectable. And even like I've hardly even participated yet this week.
Same.
Like, I had plans to do this over the weekend, so there's some very dedicated Guardians grinding out there.
Thank you, Guardians.
Yep. So moving on. So they did mention if you want to get your hands on that community emblem, you'll need to at least complete one of these Nightfalls. The either killing Zol or killing Nokris. You'll need to complete one of those to participate in the community event. So make sure you do that. Don't just go run EP and then be upset because you didn't get the emblem. Gotta do a Nightfall. Also, if we achieve that, remember that our boy Callus will have some extra prezzies for us.
Yep.
Prezzies. That's a word.
Prezzies. They said they were gonna do that. We were curious how they were gonna do that.
Yeah.
But here we go.
Now, this next bit of news, I'm mega excited for. I think it's the coolest thing ever. So they've got a special Bungie Bounty in store for us. The head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, and the CEO of Bungie, Pete Parsons, are going to team up to do a Bungie Bounty with Nightfalls. It's not going to be Crucible or competitive. Basically, you just need to match up with them. Actually, is it Nightfalls or is it just Strikes? Yeah, Strikes.
I think Strikes. Yep.
They're celebrating cross save because it's bringing these two Guardians together at last. And I think this is just awesome that
It's
the
really
head
cool.
of Xbox is a diehard Destiny player. It's so amazing.
It's really cool.
This is going to take place Tuesday, September 10th from 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It's going to be actually on Mixer. Looks like Bungie might be just getting a little that sweet sugar from Xbox. You know what I'm saying? A little Xbox promo event. So it's going to be on mixer.com/Bungie if you want to watch. There will be a couple of cool things happening if you're watching. Dee just mentioned that they're going to give away 7 of the collector's edition of the Shadowkeep. If you saw that, it was up on the Bungie store. They are confirming these are sold out. And I'm super upset that I waited and did not do my pre-order. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm used to in the past having plenty of time to do this. So I'm going to be watching to maybe win one. And I'm actually going to be, this is on Xbox, of course, Xbox specific. I've blocked off some time. I'm going to try to go play and see if I can get this emblem because there's a new emblem for year 3, Destiny 2, for the community, Bungie bounties that looks really dope, in my opinion.
Yeah. I
want this.
Yeah, it's obviously that's what they're promoting here, but it hadn't really crossed my mind yet with the Bungie bounties. You and I have bought the content on your Xbox and on PS4, and then we both bought it on PC. At some point, you're going to get it on PS4, and I'll get it on Xbox. So I didn't even think about these Bungie bounties, just being able to hop on and use my main Guardian to
try for
this stuff.
No doubt.
Really cool.
And get the emblem on, all the the things to use it. That's pretty
really
awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, this is a cool little event, and I'm looking forward to that. Wish me luck. Maybe I would take either a collector's edition or getting in the fire team with these two awesome Guardians.
That would be cool.
Would make me pretty happy.
Pete tweeted it out today. It was cool. He was just a nice little paragraph of a tweet about it. But either one, dude. I mean, this is just a really cool thing. Very cool.
Yep. Next up, they've got to focus on some of the changes to the Crucible coming up. Why don't you have the honors of breaking some of this down for us, Arrow?
Yeah. Let's dive right into the Crucible stuff. They show us, which I love when they do this, they show us what the director is going to look like in the Crucible node.
That's a lot of nodes, dude.
It is. We've talked so much over the years about there not being a lot of Crucible options anymore because our thought has always been it splits the multiplayer community up too much. Obviously, that's not a concern here, or, if it is, it's not a high priority concern because, we have 9 nodes inside of the Crucible node. And as we learned last week, we went over the things that they are doing, which they do mention here again from the director's cut. Real briefly, quickly and briefly here, they're removing quick play and competitive nodes. If you're looking for an experience like quick play, they're adding classic mix, which is control, clash, and supremacy. Competitive is 3v3 survival. They've also added a survival solo queue, and both of those will reward glory. So that's a big deal. We talked about that previously. I'm excited about that solo queue. I can't wait to.
I think that's a cool feature. Like I'll probably enjoy jumping in on that a little bit myself.
Yeah.
I did a lot last season. I did a lot of my comp stuff solo, and I honestly kind of enjoyed it.
Yep, I do the same. You can do pretty decent, especially in the early levels, of course, running solo. But it's going to be cool to have that solo queue. I mean, it's like a freelance that we had way back in the day. You're queuing up solo Guardians, so it's always a nice feeling when you're in competitive. Moving on, they've added 6v6 control as its own playlist, and we talked about all this. They feel like a lot of new players are going to come in, and that'll be a good place kind of for them to start, if you will.
Yeah.
And then they're adding a 6v6 rotator and a weekly 6v6 and a weekly 4v4 rotator, which is the one that threw me off. And I think we talked about that previously. It's the only place we're seeing 4v4 is in that weekly rotator. It's kind of random. They obviously, and they talked about that going back to 3s and 6s, but they left one 4v4 in there. And maybe it's because a lot of the maps were designed 4v4.
Yeah. Well, and some of the modes too,
Oh, right.
being designed,
Designed
around 4v4,
Yeah. Yep. And speaking of, so that's what the changes we're going to see, which we've talked about. And I love that they showed us what the director is going to look like inside of the Crucible area. But speaking of maps, there's a few surprises here. We knew, of course, we were getting Twilight Gap and Widow's Court.
Yeah.
We do learn that we're getting a new map called Fragments.
I'm excited there's a new map.
Yeah, dude. Yep. Basically, they say, think Dreaming City meets Infinite Forest, and they give us an image here in the TWAB. If you haven't checked it out yet, definitely do so. But with that, so we're getting those 3 maps, 2 old, 1 new. They are, and just to read what they said here, they want to create some variety in the PvP experience from season to season, and one way we're doing that is to bench some maps from the season. While they're out of rotation, if time allows, we also hope to improve how they play by tweaking spawn areas, ammo spawns, and overall structure so they return better than before. The first 4 maps to be removed from all playlists, so they're gone for this season: Dead Cliffs, Legion's Gulch, Retribution, and Solitude. So they're out, at least for the season, this season at a minimum. And what's interesting is they say they want to rotate them out.
Mm-hmm.
And then if time allows, we also hope to improve how they play. So it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to work on them. Now, like we just said, all these maps, most of these maps were built around 4v4 game modes and player counts. So it makes sense, they might want to tweak them a bit. One of my thoughts was, well, if you're going to work on them, why do you have to remove them out? But they do say they want to create some variety in the PvP experience. So I guess that's part of their reasoning for wanting to remove them.
Yeah. And I don't know. I definitely saw some complaints about a couple of these maps being gone that are fan favorites. But then some things about them were pointed out, like spawn trapping and other problems that exist. And so people said, well, why can't they, like, can we just fix that? Like, but I think they want to do more to them. And, we're getting, 2 returning maps and a new map that are going to be rotated in. Some of these maps, they're probably looking at how often some of these maps come up and how people play them, and looking at heat maps and looking at results on matches and things, and realizing that there's some problems that need to be sorted out. And let's be honest, right? We're pretty sure the Crucible team isn't huge at Bungie right now. Maybe they're bolstering it, but I'd rather they bring us something fresh and work on these than we just get stuck with like, okay, we made a pass on these existing maps, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you agree?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And it's kind of a swap. We're getting, like you said, 4 going, 3 coming in. So almost an even swap. So, it's at least there's that happening as well.
What's cool is this new map looks like it's in the Black Garden.
Yeah, it does.
Because you can look in like at the skybox, and that appears to be a Black Garden skybox, but it's a kind of a different look to what we're used to seeing out of the Black Garden, which is kind of cool, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because I know with the raid, the name of the raid is Garden of Salvation. So I'm just wondering, like, what's happened in the Black Garden that it's so different now.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to be going to it in a few
point.
places. So I don't know. I'm kind of nerding out about that.
Hey, that works, man. So yeah, those are the few other things with the Crucible. One last thing they mention here, which we know, Elimination is making its return to Destiny 2 in Crucible Labs. Elimination, of course, if you're not familiar, is the popular game mode from Trials. So I'm pumped that this is coming back in Crucible Labs. They say they're going to be testing it out, multiple variants of it, and rule sets and settings to see how the mode plays with new weapons and abilities of Destiny 2. So
yeah, they seem to be like really pointing to that a lot. This past week, a lot of people have brought up like, hey, what are we getting out of the Crucible? And they keep saying Elimination is going to be in Crucible Labs. I think my guess is their intention was probably to bring Elimination this season, and it just wasn't ready. And they're still bringing it to us in a form that we'll get to play, and they want to showcase that, and they want us to know like this is going to be like, I don't think it's just going to be up for a couple weeks. Like they're probably going to, have it out and iterate on it some, and then, after a month or so, they'll make some changes and we'll keep playing it, And so that's going to be there in Crucible Labs for us to play. And I'm excited to play Elimination, man.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, it's gonna be excellent. And Crucible Labs is one of those things, they said a while back that they wanted to keep it around, and that was back in the day when a lot was going on, probably a lot changing, a lot going on behind the scenes, and maybe we're getting back to a point where Crucible Labs can be what they said they wanted it to be and what they truly probably want it to be. So
yeah,
drop Elimination in there and let us just goof around with it throughout, this season. I could even see, it being a drop one mode in there for an entire season just for people to goof around with. Don't create too much stress on themselves by trying to rotate things in and out of Crucible Labs. Just drop something in there for a season and just let it simmer, you know what I mean?
Right.
Instead of,
or tweak it through
Crucible
the season,
Labs.
Right?
Right. Yep, exactly. Instead of, worrying about updating it when they can worry about the main game, in quotes. So that's the first bit of PvP stuff. There's more coming, of course, but there's some heavy ammo stuff too, Cyborg. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, and they've talked about this before. They just give some details on how heavy is going to change in 6v6, specifically with sharing heavy. So when you pick up heavy, your teammates will have a limited amount of time, currently 7 seconds, to interact with the heavy ammo crate to grab some yourselves. If the other team picked up the crate, it turns red to show you that you can't pick it up. And then so each player, they say, will get less heavy ammo from shared crates than you do from an unshared crate in 4v4 and 3v3. The ammo that you receive is static. It does not change based on how many teammates share the crate. And keep in mind, this is just in 6v6. But this should definitely make that 6v6 control, clash, and even Iron Banner interesting, with a lot more heavy out there. Because, currently in a 6v6 match, just one person picking up heavy, you honestly, like, people fight over it so much, a lot of the time it doesn't get grabbed. And it just stays there as a distraction. Like, unless you just get lucky and everybody, somebody gets spawn wiped or you push people back in your spawn and then you can go grab it or whatever. But this will definitely change the dynamic. I can imagine like popping a bubble over heavy so everybody can grab it. Coming out of the War of Dawn with like weapons of light or whatever, and then just blasting people with machine guns or something, It's definitely going to make it scary.
It is. It's going to be cool. We'll see what happens. There's always interesting, with most of this stuff, but heavy ammo especially, see how it feels.
Like so controversial for hardcore Crucible players, but I don't know. I always found it made like the Crucible really fun and kind of kept you on your toes, and you could turn a match with a good heavy drop,
Oh, yeah. Yep. There's no doubt about that. This next one's cool, too. Rank system update streaks and floors. So they say glory, valor, and infamy streaks have been made more resilient. Instead of resetting your streak, losses will now reduce your valor and infamy streaks by 1 and your glory streak by 2. You can still lose glory, but if your rank is at or below fabled, you can't lose glory. If doing so would drop you below the rank. Each rank through fabled acts as a floor for glory. So 2 different things there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Instead of losing that excellent 5 streak you had running in Valor and Infamy, Quick Play and Gambit, you'll drop 1 streak back, which is really cool. And then Glory, you'll just drop 2 streaks back. And then I was like, okay, that's cool. And then reading on, it's like, it's really neat that you can't drop back into a previous level inside of Glory all the way up to Fabled.
Yeah, Fable, it goes, what's beyond Fabled? It goes Fabled, then
is it Heroic?
Heroic, and then, is it
Mythic?
Mythic, and then Legendary?
And then Legend.
Yeah,
okay. I think so.
Yeah, and then Fabled is typically that 2000 or 2200 or whatever level that in the past has been the floor for a lot of the pinnacle weapons, right?
Yes.
So a lot of people, their goal is typically to hit Fabled. I don't know if that'll continue, but that there seems to be a focus on that at least to make it more accessible, I guess, and less punishing. You still have to earn that rank, but especially with how they've been working on some of the pinnacle weapons, this season was wholly different. But this next thing, I'm still trying to wrap my head around. I can't totally understand.
I feel like we need to read this, at least this one,
so
it's interesting.
Skill and glory in the Crucible. They had mentioned this a couple weeks ago, talking about glory, and I wasn't sure what their plan was, but they're detailing it. And so I'm still trying to wrap my head around how this is going to work. The idea, so here, let me read this first paragraph. So they say Destiny has always tracked player skill behind the scenes, taking into account things like kills, damage dealt, and so forth. These factors all contribute to a player's skill rating. In Season 8, we've mapped skill ratings to glory ranks, with the lowest end of the scale mapping to Guardian 1 and high end mapping to Legend. Most players are somewhere between these extremes. As you play in the survival playlist, the glory system will accelerate you to the rank that corresponds to your skill rating. If your current rank is below where your skill rating says you should be, you'll earn extra glory based on the criteria above, so you can get to your expected rank faster and lose less glory so you don't fall further away. Once you reach your expected rank, glory gains and losses will normalize. So essentially, you've got a skill rating, and when you start playing, they're going to have a skill rating that matches up with what your glory rank should be, right? So if I go in and the game says Cyborg should be at Fabled or something, whatever. I don't know, somewhere in the middle. I'm probably lower than that. But let's just say, for example, as I play and as I win and I perform at the level they think I should be at, I'm going to get more glory faster until I get to that rank. Is that how, am I understanding this right? I
know, yeah. It's kind of messing with my brain as well.
And what's interesting about this is how it's going to impact players of all skill levels. Very high skilled players are going to get to Legend extremely fast, with very little grind comparatively. A mid-range or a beginner or novice player, I find I'm most interested in how a average or worse than average player is going to progress through this system, because if you wanted to hit Legend as an average player, it's feasible for you to grind to that rank if you had a good team put together. But if your skill level just isn't there, Like your climb is going to be
happen to you,
harder,
yeah.
a lot harder than a better player.
It seems as though,
right?
Yeah.
Because once you hit your expected rank, it says glory gains and losses normalized. So then after that, you're just, is it going to be just kind of like the current system?
Yeah, and then I wonder who you're going to be matched up against later in higher tiered glory ranks, right?
Yeah.
If you get to that point.
And is the idea to get those better players into the higher ranks faster so they're playing each other? This is definitely going to affect people that play a lot of competitive and don't always want to sit at top rank. Mm-hmm. And I have friends, for example, that will be very picky and careful about how long and what they do to play comp because they don't want to get their glory too high too fast so they can play with other players and not drag them into like all legend matches. Right. You know what I mean? Because they want to like coach people, teams, they want to help people, whatever. This is going to make that
run alt accounts, of course, so they can do that.
This will make that entirely difficult.
Right, yeah. And it's always interesting to hear them talk about this player skill tracking behind the scenes, right? The skill rating now that they're just straight up talking to us about in the TWAB. I don't know. I mean, I'm excited that they're, one, talking about it, and two, applying something like this. But just like you said, it's just going to take the season to see how this feels, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
I'm also interested, like, are they going to show us any part of this skill system?
Right.
Like, is there going to be something in the UI that shows, okay, you're getting accelerated glory until you hit Fable because we predict you at Fabled? Or is it just going to be a guessing game where like, oh, I just got twice as many points for that game. I wonder how long I get to ride this out. You know what I mean? Like, how do you know? And how will the player that doesn't read this know how that system works? Like, if you just are average Joe, Shadowkeep launches in October, you go jump in the competitive, or what is it called? It's not even called comp anymore. It's glory playlists.
Right.
How do you know how that system works and predict your results?
Oh, there's a lot of questions, man. There's a lot of questions. I mean, I don't envy their position either to try to make something, to try to make this work on the back end, because it's always something, I won't say an issue, but it's always a topic. And I know you can really easily, like you said, focus on that one sentence of once you reach your expected rank, glory gains and losses will normalize. It's like, what does that mean? What does it mean?
And how do you know what your
all the different kinds of
rank
players?
Is?
Yeah, how do you know what your expected rank is? What does it mean for all types of players? What does it mean for all types of players depending on where they're at in the ranking system at any given moment of the season?
Yeah.
There's just so many questions. But, then take into consideration the new playlists, right? We've still got the Fire Team 3v3 glory, and then we've got the solo. So how is it going to feel in each of those playlists? I don't know.
Yeah, they go on to
this is going to take a bit.
Say the result should be that over time your glory rank will become an accurate reflection of your skill. So does that mean like it's going to be harder for me as an average player to hit like heroic or mythic or legend if I wanted to, because I'm not that skilled? Like, every player can stretch, right? I mean, it's feasible that an average player can get to those higher ranks if you really grew and like had a good team and improved, but it doesn't mean that you could get to legend as easy as a better player. You can just both get there. But if they're saying like it should really accurately reflect your skill, is it going to hold you back a little bit?
Right.
I don't know, man. There's so much to consider in what they're saying.
Yeah, there's a lot to consider for sure.
I don't know.
We got to get our hands on it. We need a season with it. We'll see how it feels. this among a lot we're going to continue to discuss here in the TWAB in this episode. I mean, we would love to hear you guys' feedback.
Yeah. I probably should have asked a player that plays a lot of comp to come and jump in and join us and see what they had to say about this.
Yeah, we could have done that.
Maybe I'll ask a couple people what their opinions are here.
There's just so many different types of players you could ask, right?
Yeah.
And it definitely the opposite ends of the spectrum would be, because, we kind of sit in the middle. I think lately not as much, but, I'm kind of the Crucible Guardian, but I'm not in that glory competitive playlist every night, so it would be interesting to get that perspective and then the opposite perspective, right?
But yeah, like you're saying,
before and after this launches.
With anything, a lot of the time you just have to have it in your hands. We're just going to have to see it roll out. Like, what is it really going to be? You don't know until you have it sometimes.
Yeah, I think any attention's good, though. I mean, it may not pan out, but it could, and we need some love in the Crucible area and the fine tuning of these areas as well. So,
yeah, and we'll just see. Crucible is getting some changes.
Oh boy, yeah, those are big changes, but those are small sections compared to this stuff.
Yeah,
we got
some
coming
major
up.
sandbox changes that affect both the Crucible and PvE. First, they detail some changes to super abilities for some specific classes. Man, I would have loved to hear a good Night Stalker hunter's opinion on this first one. That bottom tree attunement, Night Stalker Way of the Pathfinder, is getting some major changes. They say they want to lean into the fantasy of a speedy disruptor. Pathfinders need more tools to scout the battlefield and a skill-based way to engage with that gameplay more often. So, they have some improvements to the Vanish, which is that smoke bomb that gives you invis. Some cool buffs that everybody will get, like gives 1 stack of Heart of the Pack, plus 34 armor, recovery, agility, weapon reload speed and handling, max 3 stacks, and increased invisibility duration from 7 to 8 seconds. That's a pretty cool buff that you can drop on your whole team to run in and just dish some damage, right? And wipe some ads out or whatever it is that you're trying to do. That's a pretty cool buff there.
For sure.
Then some changes to how provision works. So they changed some of this around. They say old perk benefits were moved to be part of Mobius Quiver, which is had to do basically with orb generation, right? So the new perk damaging enemies with your grenade reduces the cooldown of your smoke bomb, making allies invis give you grenade energy. So this is going to be more related to grenade usage, it seems. And then Mobius Quiver has to do with firing. You get the ability to fire your super multiple times, right? This is where you get to, I think you usually get up to, how many shots? Usually 4 to 6 shots you can get off with your quiver.
I'm not 100%, but yeah.
I've done it. I've played it a few times, but wasn't too impressed because it's not awesome. Well, you can the range so there's this buff, Heart of the Pack. You will get stacks of Heart of the Pack for killing enemies and give that to your team. And then you also generate super orbs that way. So the super top and bottom path, they've increased the damage from 150 to 250, which is pretty significant. And then it's a one-shot kill in PvP now. I've seen people complain about
that's a big deal,
getting hit by this and it just feeling really weak. This will definitely
that's a big one to me.
Take you out. Will that kill a Guardian in most roaming supers 250? I feel like that's pretty close.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I think it's close.
Maybe
like
some of the
said.
weaker
Again,
ones.
Well, they're 100%.
They're going to get into that because they're changing some of that stuff.
Oh, yes. There's one that was confirmed at PAX that I'm super excited about as far as that goes.
Yeah.
Super reduction. But yeah, I mean, I play a lot of my Hunter in PvP, and I'm usually top tree Night Stalker.
Mm-hmm.
So this is interesting. I love the dodge and Viz. That's like my go-to. So I love to be able to go invis on command. You got to be a little bit more strategic with your invis with the middle and bottom tree.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love seeing this attention to the bottom tree. It's interesting too. I don't know if they normally do this. I'm sure they do, but this section that we're going over right now, they specifically label as buffs. And then coming up, we have a section specifically labeled as nerfs. So they're intentionally focusing on obviously ones they feel need to be brought up, and then ones they feel need to be taken back a couple notches.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
They also improved the tether accuracy near obstacles. That definitely needs to happen. I've seen some weird tethers sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then suppress on hit is more consistent. So hoping to make that bottom tree definitely more viable, I think, is their goal. So I'm eager to see how that plays.
I really hope that suppress on hit is more consistent, is finally, at least for this tree, more consistent.
Yeah, consistent.
See.
That's what they said.
Mm-hmm.
We will see. This next one I'm pretty excited about, man. They're really making top tree Sentinel a big class for Titans to come back to, and I'm excited, dude, because I really like Sentinel Titans. Like,
I do too.
I was pretty big on being a Hammer Titan the first probably year of D2 and the last year of D1, but I've come around to the Sentinel ways. So they mentioned for the top tree, Code of the Protector, the path is for this to be the main support role for Titans. Focus heavily on melee kills, punching stuff while staying near allies. They want you to be able to buff allies and time the usage of the buffs. So Defensive Strike, that's a melee ability that gives you an overshield for your allies. The changes they're making, so all kills while the overshield is active grant melee energy for the player with the shield. So it works for all allies you get. So they will be able to not only get a shield, but increase their, if I'm understanding this, their melee energy as part of that. Sounds pretty fun. It's based on enemy threat level from 5% minors to 25% players and bosses. Rallying Force, melee kills heal nearby allies. So your heal is buffed from 10 health and 10 shields to 10 health and 20 shields. And then the Ward of Dawn, which is your bubble, right? Basically, they're increasing the ward health versus other supers, which is awesome, in my opinion. Essentially, they're saying most supers will require the whole thing to be dumped on the ward to destroy it, but will usually not kill the players inside. So you'll be able to throw that Nova Bomb, but it may not kill the Titan that's inside of it, but you'll be able to at least take out the Ward of Dawn. And then we knew this before, but Ward of Dawn is going to grant Weapons of Light when you pass through it, which is awesome. You'll get 35% damage for 15 seconds. That's pretty significant. So like you can just run through this thing and then have yourself a good little 15-second long fun run
right.
around
Yeah.
with that
No.
buff.
And I think, and we'll learn more about the Warlock's class ability here shortly.
Yeah.
But this one, I think the reason they can get away with that with this is because you have to pass in and out of that bubble. You can't just set in it, right?
Yeah,
So there's a
and
little bit of strategy.
You know,
there.
in D1, like the buff didn't last very long, so you had to duck in and out of it quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
This is like you could jump in there once and then have your buff, and you'll have enough time to do some damage, maybe reload, do some more damage. And they're really going to need that with some of the changes coming to the reload perks on some of our favorite stuff. So this makes a lot of sense. But in Crucible, I mean, you can run through the bubble, you know, grab your buff and then go and run and engage, a couple firefights while you have that buff without having to camp it, because
I was going to say with what I said, that is part of it, but 15 seconds is a long time.
That's a long time.
Right.
And most, smart guardians are not going to engage where a bubble is. Like, they're smart enough, but this allows you to grab the buff and go. So fast food buff on the go. Pretty excited about this. Also, they're going to grant an additional super orb. So as opposed to 2 orbs, it's going to be 3. But there are some changes to how much super energy you're going to get from those coming up. So we're going to get into that. So they also mentioned auto-generated orbs. So like when the Warlock drops his Dawnblade, you get 2 orbs, but those orbs, they're pointing out, typically don't give you the same amount of super energy as a regular orb. They said previously the orbs gave less super energy on par with Masterwork orbs. So now when you have a super that auto-generates orbs, they'll do, the normal amount of super buffing. They'll give you more stuff, more super stuff. So that's cool. And we're going to need it because supers are going to become harder to get overall.
Harder to get,
yeah.
Easier to kill.
That's right.
At least in PvP.
So change to Code of the Aggressor, which is the Sentinel bottom tree. They mentioned Shoulder Charge, which is Shield Bash. Disorients nearby enemies, so it now suppresses the target hit and any enemy within 2 meters. They say basically you have to be standing right next to them. So if you have a buddy stand next to you and you get bashed, he's gonna be blind for a second. Sorry. Voidwalker, Attunement of Hunger, which is the bottom tree. That's usually your vortex. They mentioned Nova Bomb leaves behind a damaging AoE pool. So this is an interesting change. Like, do you think that the bomb will like crash and then instead of like floating in the air, it'll just have like a damage pool on the ground? Or do you think it'll be
so?
both?
Like I envision just like the class ability little pool, looking effect maybe, but I don't know.
I think this is cool
leaves
for
behind.
I guess if you want to do damage to an enemy, and there'll be a big pool on the ground that they stand in as opposed to trying to get it to land in the right spot to where it'll float over them, because sometimes that's kind of tricky if they're moving, especially if they're moving around. But I'm interested to see what this will look like. Kind of a cool change. The initial explosion, the damage is increased by 15%, and the lingering damage is increased by 15%. And then Well of Radiance, which we talked about a second ago, that's going to also grant an additional super orb, so it'll be 3 instead of 2. Now the nerfs.
There you go. The nerfs. I was
it's nerf or nothing.
like we cover all this stuff, but of course we watch some of our favorite community members cover this stuff as well, and Data was one that I was watching after this went out, and he had a good point. And as we go over even more of this stuff, it seems as though one, of course, they said they were going to tune back supers, and we'll learn some more stuff here soon, but it seems as though they're pushing even more the teamwork aspect, at least on the PvE side for sure, of helping each other work together to generate orbs to create. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, instead of one-man army, you do your thing, create your orbs. It's
right,
and that's a good thing, I think. I mean, they've done that in several different aspects of the game. We're in an extreme power fantasy right now, so it'll be interesting to see how all this feels throughout the season, and especially playing, fire teams playing together, and again, some of these changes we're still gonna yet to talk about, see how it all pans out. So
so there's a number of nerfs, if you will, that we're gonna see to some of the supers. First one is Shadow Shot, which fires an enemy. You might think of it as tether. Damage sharing for the player is reduced from 100 to 50%. And then allied players have 50% damage sharing on tether now. The Way of the Wrath for Night Stalker, which is your middle tree. Flawless Execution is a kind of a cool perk that's underutilized. But the True Sight that you get is now reduced from 9 seconds to 3.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
pretty short.
That's a lot.
It gives you like basically just a look. Like
it does, yeah, and some Crucible players, obviously use that middle tree. This is what I talked about why I like top tree so much. I even run double dodge exotic on my top tree because I love to have on command invis on my hunter in Crucible. And with middle tree, you got to have this crouched kill to grant your invisibility. And not only that, now it just dropped from 9 seconds to 3 seconds. It's an excellent perk. But now, that's a substantial time decrease.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's a wrong or bad move, not necessarily, but 6 seconds is a long time, and it's not. I'm defaulting to Crucible, but
right.
I tend to do that.
Yeah. I get it. The next one is Shattering Strike. That's another cool perk that can be tricky to use. But can be very effective if you want to debuff an enemy. And so they say, advance warning, when we made the changes to Flawless Execution, this also unintentionally nerfed this ability to only last 3 seconds because it was directly tied to the True Sight. We've prepared a fix for the patch to restore the weaken and lunge range increase to last the entire 9 seconds, regardless of True Sight and invisibility. So an unintended nerf, but they're going to restore it. This next one is a big deal. It has to do with instant reloading. So they basically talk about how some of the evolution that Lunafaction boots and Rally Barricade have gone through. And if you play a lot of in-game PvP activities, really any PvP, these specific abilities are pretty core for DPS phases because it eliminates reloading, which is amazing, right? Who wants to reload if you don't have to? Stand in this well or behind this barricade and just shoot to your heart's content. The problem they mentioned, though, is that things are just getting way out of control. So along with some of the changes to buffs and debuffs that are happening, they're changing how these work. Essentially, as opposed to not having to reload with Titan Rally and Wardcliff, Well of Radiance, it's essentially just going to provide a large increase to reload speed for the duration of the effect. So you're going to have to reload, but it'll be quick. And essentially this is going to lower, the amount of, rounds that you can put out on an enemy at any given time. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. I love my Rally Barricade. That's why I've always loved auto rifles in PvE. Not that they put out the most damage, but just to be able to stand behind your Rally Barricade and just let loose, especially with Delirium in your heavy slot, heavy machine gun.
Or Sweet Business.
It makes sense. Yeah, right. Yeah, it makes sense. That is a major, you say advantage, but we've just been living in this power fantasy for a while. We've talked about it for months
and you
now,
still want that to exist, but things have ballooned so much between the lack of a need to reload, the way that you can stack buffs, and just all the things you can do. You can do so much damage and just melt stuff in a way that, they've had to design around, and, they don't want to have this arms race between having feel good, effective weapons and then having to increase a boss's health so much it just becomes ridiculous that you can't kill them without using those specific tools,
Right.
And they mentioned rocket launchers and shotguns benefit a lot more compared to another weapon that might, for instance, maybe a sniper that has a big magazine, or a primary weapon like a pulse rifle or an auto rifle or something that has a big magazine that you can, not have to reload as much. So I'm interested to see like how this changes what the most effective DPS weapons are. Like snipers, some snipers in particular might become more feasible again. Rocket launchers may become less feasible for a lot of activities. They may become like more ad clearing and stuff like that. Machine guns may be more desirable,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Like it's like my use of it with autos and heavy, that's not ideal. Like what you said is the rocket launcher and the even I did use when I was running my strikes for my Wendigo, I would throw down that rally barricade and just launch grenade launcher and over and over again, and it's so powerful.
Well, grenade launchers I think will weather this okay, because the way they've been buffed, along with most of them, you can, unless you're using like a breach loading, like this is gonna kill mountaintop, I think.
Right, that's what I mean. Yeah, because I was using the exotic. Oh my goodness, energy exotic grenade launcher. It's totally leaving my mind right
now. Off the top of my head too. You're talking about
the listeners love when this happens, I'm sure. Yeah. I've been using it for 2 or 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, that one was good because you have to reload after every one. Fighting line, there you go. So, but like you said, it says a large increase in reload speed. So if that reload speed is substantial enough, this could be a nice medium, a nice balance of still quite a bit of a benefit, like you said, for certain weapons, and not feel too bad. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how this changes things. So, and they also mentioned like how this changes like swords and other perks and effects that aren't as important as like reload abilities and stuff. So this will change a lot. Now, the next thing they talk about is super energy regeneration. So they're changing how much orbs and other sources of power are going to give you energy for your supers by a pretty big amount. A regular super orb gets a 50% reduction. A masterwork orb gets a 50% reduction. Kills a 25% reduction. And it varies according to what type of enemy it is, from minor all the way up to a boss or a player. Assists also receive a reduction in ability gain. So this is like pretty big. I think this is going to hurt, man. Like,
yeah.
Yikes.
This falls into that category of not being able to be a one-man army all the time, like the kills reduction one. And I don't know. I mean, reading all this again right now with you is just like, what is the game gonna feel like when this all launches?
I mean, I'm really interested to see like how certain boss fights play out and how they get figured out, because we're gonna talk about how some of the buffs and debuffs are changing, but I think it was Chevy was throwing out some numbers on like percentages of what you can do damage wise with certain buffs and debuffs. And right now, like he said, the best buff, like damage percentage boost that you can get right now is like 463%. And after the sandbox changes, it'll be like 75. So pretty significant,
that's a big deal.
So they talk next about damage multipliers. And we already know, so, they're not going to stack anymore. It will basically assign the highest buff that's active to you, depending on the source. And then when those run out, if you have another buff, it will put that buff into effect for you. But they are making some changes to some of those buffs. Now, keep in mind, player bonuses and weapon bonuses will stack multiplicatively. What a word right there. I love that word, man. That is $100 word. Buffs that provide bonus damage will still exist simultaneously in the player. So in the event that the one with the highest multiplier wears off, the next highest will be used. But buffs like Rampage, Kill Clip, or exotic weapons that increase their own damage will stack with buffs. So think of those as perks as opposed to how these buffs will change. So this is going to affect Empowering Rift, Frontal Assault, Guiding Flame, Sun Warrior, Inertia Override, Well of Radiance, Lumina, and Noble Rounds, and Weapons of Light. One notable exception they mention is Vengeance from One-Eyed Mask. It's not getting a change. So they're changing Frontal Assault, Sun Warrior from 20% down from 25. Not a huge change there. Well of Radiance is getting a nerf from 35% damage buff to 25, and Weapons of Light from 25 to 35. So Weapons is going to be one of the best buffs that you're going to want to have your hands on, it seems. So they're bringing Titans back, baby.
Season of the Titans.
I'm bringing Titans back. Y'all silly warlocks don't know how to act. All right, I'm done. I'm not just
We're going to get some feedback.
Yep. Enemy debuffs. Shadow Shot. Incoming PvE damage is now 30% from 35. PvP damage is now 50% from 55. Nothing crazy, but some changes. Tractor Cannon. This is an interesting one. So incoming PvE damage is now 30% for all elements. So it was 33% for non-void and 50% for void. Now it's just going to be a blanket buff at 30% for anything that you're using. You don't have to use void anymore. And then for PvP, it's going to be 50% for all elements. So it'll do some pretty significant damage in PvE if you get hit with that. I mean, if you get hit with Tractor Cannon, I'm booping you off the map. Like, I'm not looking for a damage boost, but that's cool, I guess. Or I want to take you out of your super, right? That's the real goal.
Yes, that is the real goal.
And then let's see, Shattering Strike and Hammer Strike. So incoming PvE damage is now 30%, previously 50%. So pretty big nerf to Hammer Strike. And it also, however, increases the duration from 6 seconds to 10 seconds. So while it will do less damage, you'll have a longer period to apply that damage. So I wonder how that kind of pans out, you know? We'll see.
Be interesting.
There's a lot of number crunching that's going to happen here.
A lot of be interesting to see.
Yeah. And then Shattering Strike, similar, 30% down from 50%, and duration increase from 6 to 10 seconds in PvE. So basically, Hammer Strike and Shattering Strike are, still going to be on par with each other. Shattering Strike is just a little harder to use, in my opinion, but it's quicker. Mm-hmm. All right. You want to cover the super damage resistance change?
I would love to. So like they always do, they give us their goal. They say, since the launch of Destiny 2, we have slowly introduced buffs to supers, especially roaming supers. While we believe supers should be powerful, they should not be mindless. We want supers to be more risky in both PvE and PvP. We want players to think about positioning and timing more. Not so long ago, we experimented with Spectral Blades by lowering the damage resistance substantially. These changes were generally well received and improved the experience of the super for both the person running it and the person who is running from it. In PvE, players shouldn't feel like their super makes them invulnerable, and casting one should call for situational strategic thinking. In PvP, players need to feel like they can challenge a super, and that will, with skillful play, there's a chance they can beat it. Oh, I love that last sentence. I've been asking forever to have my high-impact sniper single headshot super shut down back. It appears as though we're going to be getting that. So with all that said, that goal in mind of theirs, they say, super damage resistant this is a big one. Removed from Masterwork armor.
Yeah, you remember we were talking about this after the Armor 2.0 stream and wondering how that's going. So that is just going away entirely. So what? I guess that totally wipes out what Masterworking armor is for. Like all the armor you've masterworked, does it have any purpose now?
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's the perk, right? Like,
yeah, I think I didn't think about it that way. I never really was a fan of that because it was just and I'm okay with a lot of RNG, but it was another layer of RNG. Like what do I want my armor set to look like? Do I want some resistance of each? Do I want, it came to the point where I didn't really care like what I had. But you're right. That's a good point. What is the benefit? What is Masterworking going to look like?
Well, I'm starting to think that there won't be Masterworking on armor anymore. Unless they haven't revealed like a plan to enhance stats or some other factor that we just don't totally know.
Right.
But
I don't know.
I mean, it pretty much
That's a good point.
Makes any current armor you have masterworked just obsolete.
Yeah, and of course it's not 2.0.
And that stinks because you got to sink a lot of materials into those to get them. And when you dismantle them, you don't get them all back.
Right.
So thanks for wiping out my
if you did get them
investment, Bungie. Wonderful.
Well, there's that. And then there's this some others here. Inherent super damage resistance lowered by category. So basically they say low 54% to 40 down to 49%. Nova Warp, Thunder Crash, Blade Barrage, Nova Bomb, and Well of Radiance. And I guess when they say low, medium, high, they're just talking about
resistant, like existing resistance. Like, so these are the different categories of, Nova Warp, Thunder Crash, Blade Barrage, Nova Bomb all have like considerably on the lower end of damage resistance when you're in your super right now.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So then with that was low previously we mentioned. So medium, 56% down to 51.
So that's Hammer of Soul and Daybreak.
Mm-hmm. And then high, 60% down to 53.
Which is pretty
Fist
high.
of Havoc. Yeah, that is. Fist of Havoc, Burning Maul, Sentinel Shield, Arc Staff, Arc Lightning, and Shadow Shot. And then they've got another category here, which is unchanged, Spectral Blades. They've got 52%, 54.4. Golden Gun, 0%. Chaos Reach, 40%. I love that Golden Gun. That's at 0%.
Yeah, you just get shot.
I do not run from Goldies. But they do say next week we'll be taking a look at how your arsenal of weaponry will be changing. Now, I don't know that we don't get confirmation in the TWAB to that specific, but I'm pretty sure I saw come out of PAX that people were headshotting with high impact, 90 RPM or above sniper rifles, I believe, roaming supers.
That would be so cool, man. I know a lot of people would be excited about that.
I saw that in my feed several times. Now, I'm going to say it here because it's not confirmed that it is not confirmed, but right. I saw it multiple places from reputable sources, so I'm really hoping, and that's coming out of PAX, the PAX build that people played on, so I'm really hoping that is the case. I'm super pumped about that, if so, because I there's too many supers I run from right now.
Yeah, you want to be able to defend yourself if you get the right shot, right?
Yep. And it's this thing again with this game. Like Bungie has created themselves a monster. How do you balance this game? How do you even do it as well as they've done it over the years? I mean, you have these things called supers where we're supposed to be just super unbelievably powerful. But how do you keep that? It's the classic two sides of the game, right?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Again, a position I do not envy, but they've done it pretty well over the years.
It's a tough thing to balance.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of changes here to think about that is really going to impact the sandbox across the board. But I did hear overall. So at PAX, you could play Elimination, in a 6v6, and all the current, the new sandbox builds were in place. And I've heard some very positive feedback from those. So at least in PvP, I don't know how PvE is going to look like a different world in Shadowkeep, but we'll see how that plays out.
We will, yeah. I can't imagine we'll feel like not very powerful in PvE, but I mean,
I don't want to say
see.
This is going to be like, D2 year 1, because I don't think it's going to be that extreme, but at least on the super generation, like it's going to feel a lot closer to it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I remember talking about this way back in the day with Blue, when we, the whole point, it is important that you feel powerful on the PvE side of the game for sure.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel like you're getting your super very often, you notice that on the PvE side of the game, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
So I trust in the play testing and this or that. This will feel balanced as far as that side of the game goes. But again, how many times have we said it? We shall see. There's a lot of changes happening here, and this isn't even all of them. I mean, we got more stuff coming. So
yeah. Yep. So we'll just have to see, man. It's definitely going to impact boss damage for in-game PvE activities, and I'm curious how that's going to impact a lot of the existing raids and stuff that we can play now. It'll change how we approach a lot of those activities, I think.
It did make me wonder too, like how much, what kind of impact this will have on the solo community.
Yeah.
Like we'll see they still figure it out. But we're pretty powerful right now. So we'll see how that goes as well. Soloing activities.
Yeah. This next bit in the TWAB, I was pretty pumped to see all this armor. So they basically there were some bits and pieces that came out of packs because people were able to see some of the new armor, look at collections. There was a ton of stuff, honestly, that leaked out of it. They probably should have limited
several exotics.
Some exotics were shown off that were in collections. There was titles even that you could see. We won't get into all that because I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. But
right, yeah,
you can check that stuff out on Reddit or other places if you're interested. And some things could change still, but some of the controversial stuff was some of the armor sources in armor sets were shown or leaked, however you want to think about it. One of them specifically was the armor set from the Garden of Salvation raid. And it was a bit controversial because it bears a striking resemblance to a Eververse set from the Curse of Osiris expansion. I'm not going to use the dreaded reskin tag, but certainly reused assets in a way.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I saw some feedback too, it's definitely heavy on the Titan. There's obviously some layers of texture added there and some things, but you can definitely see a somewhat of a resemblance.
Yeah. I mean, they certainly used those as a building block to make this set. It's not like just totally reusing it without any changes, but structurally, and it's those armors.
And I think another thing that fueled it is the premium season rank reward armor.
Yeah.
From the new, AKA Battle Pass season pass. Ranks. It looks amazing. I think it looks really good. I love the Titan. So the thing is the raid is like the pinnacle activity, right? That's the armor that if you take the time and you go do that, you can do that. You find a fire team to do that. You're running around sporting this exotic looking set of armor. And a lot of people feel like the season rank reward armor looks better. Now, again, that's subjective, obviously what you think. Now, there are some cool little flares on the raid armor. Kind of looks like the Solstice stuff.
Yeah, it's got like these awesome glowy bits about it, which is something from D2 or D1 year 3 that we had on some stuff that I really liked. And we've been asking for those to come back, and they have obliged. And I think it's a pretty cool way to enhance that armor set.
Just so there's multiple ways to look at it, right? Like, I think that armor looks cool.
I'm not going to say I don't like it.
It's just the idea of if they use assets, right? Like, you want it to be fresh and new. You want both of these sets of armor, whether it be the season rank rewards and the raid armor. Like, you want them to be different. You want them to be cool.
They show
like
off
nothing else.
6 sets of armor, right? So there's the Dream Bane, which is activities on the moon. There's the Garden of Salvation raid set that's got these really cool blue icy glowy bits about them. I like the set. Like, I really do like the set. There's a substitutional armor set. So this says acquired from seasonal activities, free season rank rewards, and premium season rank rewards. So this is basically tied to the season. And I like this set a lot too. Another Vex themed set. And then there's the Phenotype Plasticity Universal Ornament set. This comes from premium season rank rewards. So this is an ornament that you can stick on other armor. And I think this is what some people are upset about, because they're saying, well, this is the coolest. This is everybody's opinion, right? They love this one the best. And they're saying, why wouldn't this one be the raid armor? I'm kind of in two minds about this. Like, I'm a little disappointed that the raid armor isn't something original. It's not the idea that they're using another armor set that we've already seen before and making it better. It's the fact that it's not something totally new, like
completely original.
For raids, the armor is how you show off what you've done, and you want it to look really cool. Like you said, like, you want something totally awesome and specific, and something like that you show off. And so part of me is like, man, that kind of stinks that they used an old asset and then like enhanced it. And obviously, like, even that takes work to do that. It's not like they just slap some stuff on there in a day and like call it, like, but I think what has got people bothered is the fact that there are some totally new sets, and they're in something different than the raid, which is like, but I wouldn't.
The thing about it is that helm, that Titan helm, I thought the old one looked cool. This one is a different take on it, if you will. I think it looks cool. Yeah. And that's the thing, is it can still look cool, but it's that idea of what you expect from the raid armor. This is kind of a little bit of a tangent, but I've still been thinking about the glows for the Solstice armor, right? And it's amazing, and it shows that they never know how the community will react to certain things. In a different timeline, the fact that you couldn't, it's still, to me, the fact that you had to buy all 3 sets of those glows to fully realize the potential of that Solstice armor, you had to spend money or Bright Dust. And Bright Dust kind of throws in a little layer in there. Like, it's kind of surprising to me that wasn't a bigger deal to the community. Yeah. I'm glad it wasn't. It shows the place we're in and the relationship Bungie and the community have together right now. But then this happens, and this has nothing to do with spending money. This just has to do with reskin, like you said, and reused assets, and this just rubs the community wrong immediately. Like, and it just, you just never, I can see from their perspective and even ours, we don't even know sometimes what just might hit us wrong, whether it's the way it's dished out to us, and this is one of those things. I completely agree. Like, I don't raid a lot, but when I see a Guardian with a full set of raid armor and it looks cool like it usually does, it's like, okay, all right, respect, right?
Yeah.
And you want it to be its own thing, not something that kind of maybe looks like it's coming from something else. But again, like you said, you don't want to downplay the work here. I mean, you can clearly see some excellent design work was put into this version of it, if you will. And it I don't know. Again, the Titan, which I've learned in some of my feeds as well, the Titan is definitely more of a heavy resemblance than the other two, but you can see it. And the other thing about it is Vex armor's cool, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why I liked the previous armor that people are comparing this to. And I don't know. It's an interesting thing.
I liked the original.
I kind of brought in a random tangent, but
you know, so it's a cool set that they're using. And so like I was of that mind about it, but the more I thought about it and thought about how the other armor sets play into the season, I'm kind of on the fence, because people are looking at it one way and seeing these other two Vex themed sets that are part essentially of the season, pass that we're getting, the battle pass, or everybody, that's what people are calling it now. But you have to consider, like, there's still only going to be a small portion of the community that's going to raid. Much more people are going to progress through this season pass. And you can't consider these Eververse sets anymore. Like, it's a seasonal set. Like,
and there is an Eververse
like
set.
Eververse sets where you had a chance to get it, or you had to buy the set individually. Like, these are things that you're going to earn through XP through playing. So there's a direct path to get these, but they're probably going to be, through the course of that pass. Like, you have to earn them. And I know especially probably that Universal Ornament set, like, that's something that you're going to have to earn, and you want to have something cool to show off for your progress through that season. So you wouldn't want something reused or cheap for some of your main armor rewards for your season pass, right? So don't those doesn't the mass of players deserve something good and cool and new for the $10 that they're going to spend, and something that's accessible to those players? I mean,
right. Yeah, that's a good point. I think in Bungie's, I'm sure what they're hearing is like, just try not to do this with any armor.
Yeah, at the end of the day.
But it's weird because I don't want to downplay it. Like you said, I mean, you can clearly see some excellent work was done from the team on, I mean, the armor is pretty. If we had never seen anything close to it before, we'd be like, wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I like the glows on there. Like, we've been wanting that, like you said. It's just interesting to me it's not like we're just unpredictable, but it's just interesting to see what rubs the community wrong sometimes.
At the end of the day, I'm excited that we're getting 6 full armor sets, and they're essentially like 5 of them are brand new, and only one of them is similar to something we've used before. And I think I want every one of these for all my characters except for the moon activities. I'm not really into that scavenged, built looking thing on that. But the rest of these are awesome, dude. The Iron Banner sets look amazing, dude. Yeah. And then this really crazy Empyrean Cartographer, that's the Eververse set. Dude, that Titan helmet is awesome. I've got to have it.
Yep. Yeah, it looks good, man. I'm digging most of this armor. Even the moon one, I kind of want the set just so my Titan can look like an astronaut.
Yeah, and we'll get them. Like these will probably.
What was that exotic? Tycho. What was that? Exotic?
Was it Tychonaut?
Astronaut. Tychonaut, maybe the astronaut.
Yeah, that gave you the like it was something with rocket launchers, right? Or you could float.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember.
I've always I don't know that I'll sport it very often, but I always like when I can throw on a set and look like an astronaut.
Yeah,
but yeah, man, this stuff looks good. Like overall, this is some pretty armor.
Yeah, I'm excited about a lot of these sets, and they look really, really, really good. So they've seemed to have gotten away from the enormous Titan shoulders, which I'm very glad for.
yes.
And I mean
that, and
every one of these Warlock sets are fantastic.
Yeah, there's several hunter ones that look excellent as well.
Yeah.
The season battle pass, we got to figure out what to call that thing. The hunter one looks excellent too.
Yeah.
I don't know, man, and we'll see again when we get our hands on it, but I'm excited about this season pass rank system because it won't feel like too much like a Call of Duty or something where stuff's just popping on your screen left and right, which always feels cool. It's instant gratification, but I love that XP is going to have more meaning, and
right.
We'll see how it feels through the season. But I mean, to know you're working towards a set that looks like that, I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, beyond the cosmetics of having a new set, there'll be Armor 2.0 and have a lot more meaning than they used to as well, right? So they go on to talk about the other armor sets they're going to drop as 2.0. So we're going to see a reprisal of Crucible Year 1 with the ornaments, Vanguard Year 1 with the ornaments. The Black Armory Forge sets will drop with 2.0. Gambit and Gambit Prime, all Menagerie armor, all the raids, and all the destinations. So quite a bit of stuff that you can get 2.0 armor from. It's a lot of stuff to like re-earn if you want to use the new versions. Goodness.
At least it's there. It would stink even more if you couldn't get it.
Well, it would make a lot of stuff
at all,
instantly dated, right?
Right. Yeah.
You don't want that. So that is a lot of stuff upcoming, man. We spent a lot of time on this, but there's a lot to talk about.
I know. Hour and a half in, and we're not even out of the quad yet.
I know. Reminder, Moments of Triumph end date is September 17th at the weekly reset. You'll no longer be able to participate in Moments of Triumph or earn the seal if you haven't completed that. They talk a bit about PC silver purchases. I think we've ad nauseum heard about silver in October 1st and on and on. They did say there's some issues with cross save where if you have, they say we are aware.
I thought this was funny.
That some players entered an undesirable cross save state due to silver purchases on their account prior to the launch of cross save. So there's a contact form if you have a problem with silver in your cross save. My guess is,
let me clarify, not funny for a player experiencing this, but funny that they called it an undesirable cross-save state.
That was just a funny way to put it. I'm guessing if you had silver on an account and you chose another account maybe to use as your cross-save and you can't use that silver, I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe,
yeah. Pretty cool movies of the week this week. Two really unique pieces of content. There's another guitar cover. This one is Once Upon a Time in the Reef. I loved this guitar cover. It's very awesome. And then this really funny and awesome sniping montage based around ricochet rounds that is just god-awful ridiculous. You just got to see this guy bounce rounds off of walls and get kills. It's craziness. So silly. A little tease from DimG about sandbox weapon changes. Two of them being Sunshot having 12 in the mag and Graviton Lance getting a 30% PvE damage increase.
Man, that thing. love my Graviton
It's already
Lance.
so
Haven't
good.
used it
I
in a
mean,
while. Mm-hmm.
Goodness.
Yeah, and what was it? They tweeted out a picture from PAX. It was Deej, or not Deej, sorry, Cosmo and DMG.
Yeah.
With the Sunshot exotic tooltip behind them, and it showed 12 in the mag.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is a coming.
Exciting stuff. There was a patch and a awesome quality of life change snuck in there with inventory. Stack size limit went from 999 to 9,999 for
huge
planetary mats, gunsmith materials, Vanguard tokens, Crucible tokens, and Iron Banner tokens. That definitely freed up some vault space for me.
It did me as
and
well.
Then I realized I have like 15,000 gunsmith parts, and I was like,
good
I
grief.
should spin these.
I got to the point once I hit 5,000, I kind of just went and started. Like I keep it at 4,000 or 5,000 now.
I'd save them now because we'll have some new gunsmith stuff that we'll want to get next season.
Yep.
There's some other stuff we've already talked about that was previewed, but another thing was they changed some Reckoning stuff. So enemies in Reckoning are adjusted to have less health and do less damage to players. They answered that pretty quick. Do you remember when we were going through the director's cut and they talked about specifically like tuning Reckoning around like Dawnblade and stuff? Well of Radiance, and it seems like they've adjusted the activity a little bit to reflect some of the sandbox changes. And then also increased weapon drop rates in Reckoning and Gambit Prime. So go farm your favorite guns if you like them. Everybody's after that perfect spare rations.
Oh, yep.
Popular right now.
I don't have very many of those.
I've had so many of those things because I played all the Gambit Prime.
Oh, yeah.
So many. I gotta see if I've got like a god roll. I probably do have a great one. In other news, some stuff came to the Bungie store this week to celebrate the 5th anniversary of Destiny. I didn't even realize we were there already.
Crazy.
Yep, but there is a awesome looking 5th anniversary pin and lanyard.
Of course.
Yep, there's a stationery set. This one's pretty unique. It comes with like a paperweight, a journal, a wax seal, and paper and envelopes. Kind of dope right there, man. You know I bought it. Some new pins, some new shirts. Cool stuff. Go check it out in the Bungie store if you're interested. And that's the news.
Are we out of the news? I was going to say, are we out of the news?
Yep.
Exciting stuff, though. Exciting stuff. Cyborg?
Yes.
How was your reset, buddy?
Oh, boy. It was short. I haven't had a lot of time to play Destiny this week.
I'm with you.
But, you know, I did my Nightfall. I've
not done that yet.
I'm just playing like Gambit Prime and Menagerie because I have objectives to complete to do those things. Just working towards Reckoner a little bit at a time.
Yeah, we're waiting on you to tell us you have it, man.
It's a grind, man. I'm not like killing myself trying to finish it all in like a week or something because now the clock is off, if you will. But I got to finish it, you know, before Shadowkeep.
Shadowkeep, yeah, that's the ideal.
That's the
timing.
goal. It'll come. But yeah, I mean, nothing crazy. You know, I had mentioned last week, I think it was, that a game came to Games Pass that I wanted to check out, which is Kingdom Come Deliverance. And I did get an opportunity one night really late to boot that up and played through that some. And I am still in the prologue, but it's a really cool, like, it feels like a Elder Scrolls game without the magic. And it's hard. You start out at a huge disadvantage. You're a blacksmith's son. You can't read. You can't fight. You have to learn how to box and how to use weapons, and you really stink at it all. And you have to, like, over time, like, get taught how to do things and increase your skill level through doing things to become like a competent, archer or swordsman or whatever it is you want to do. But you can also like be a bad guy, and you can like pickpocket and steal and however you want to play. But you have reputation that'll follow you around. And like I robbed somebody to get some stuff off of them. And when I came back to the city, like they knew who I was and they put me in jail for like 6 days. And it has this clock that ticks, and you have to sit there for like 5 minutes while it goes through each day. It's like it punishes you. And then when you come out of jail, you're like undernourished and sickly, and then you have a debuff for like several days. It's really interesting, man.
Sounds cool. Yeah.
It's very slow moving, but it's a cool RPG, and I'm enjoying it so far.
Very cool.
Yeah. If you're into that thing, medieval RPG, it's fun.
Interesting.
Yeah. How was your reset, man? What's going on?
It was good, dude. It's kind of the same. It's been really busy right now, and I'm like crashing at night. I usually stay up till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, but I've been going to sleep like 10, 10:30.
Sleepy boy.
Just wore out. I don't know. But also we haven't mentioned, but I mean, it sounds like we're both fighting some sort of like sinus infection. So, that'll do it to you as well.
Yeah.
I did sneak on and finish my Wendigo. It was funny because they dropped that stuff in the patch, which we talked about last week. And I was already done with the 1500, and then I needed like 20 to 30 more of the second requirement. Can't even remember what it was now. And then the third one, the third one was just the percentage increase for completing activity, I think, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was at like 84% on that. So I didn't see much benefit from that change. I did a little, I guess, from what you got for completing things. But with it, nonetheless, I finally got my Wendigo done. So that's another pinnacle this season down. So now I'm rolling right into Hush. But I kind of have decided. I was like, okay, it's time for Mountaintop. They made it quite a bit easier to get, I guess I'll say. And mad respect to anybody who got it before, but I really have always wanted that thing for the Crucible. I just love those type of grenade launchers in the Crucible even. And I know it's super, super strong, at least right now on the PvE side too. But I still think I'm going to go grind out my Hush first and get that, because I really want that bow too. So that's why I was saying this time of the seasons lately, at least the last couple, is really kind of a time I enjoy. I like to it feels like when I log in, it's like, okay, what do I want to do tonight? Like chill and go finish this thing. Whereas it's equally as fun like when new DLC launches, but you just have that like exciting rush to do things. Yeah. It's not that you're rushing through things, but you know what I mean. Yeah, like it's just different. It's kind of chill right now, and I'm enjoying it. I really am. And even though I'm not logging on a ton, I'm still getting some stuff done, and still playing Minecraft and Lego Worlds with my kiddo. And we're having a blast doing that. Just playing split screen 2-player. Man, I've mentioned this many episodes ago, but it is not only super fun to play video games with your kid, do anything with your kids, of course, but like it's fun to split screen at old school couch co-op. And like the other night we were spawning stuff in Lego Worlds, and like we typically just run around and kind of build stuff and explore, but we dabbled into that, like got some bazookas out and we're blowing each other's vehicles up.
That's awesome.
We just started cracking up, dude. And I'm like, man, this is fun, man, doing this with your kiddos. And, we've just been gamers our whole life. So to experience it with your kids is just a whole nother level of fun. So
yeah, we did this week. My son just had his birthday, and we gave him one of the Nintendo Labo sets. And it's, it was the one that it's like a variety set. So it's got like, I think 6 different little builds that you can do. If you're not familiar, if you're listening, it's basically like they give you the instructions and the pieces to make these cardboard objects that will interact with the Nintendo Switch. So you use like the Joy-Cons, and they'll like fit into different things that you make. So like, for instance, this week we made one, and it's a motorbike. So you make like handlebars and the body, like chassis or console, I guess, that it fits into. And then you stick all the pieces in and you go play a little mini game where you drive a motorcycle around a track in a race. And like the handlebar like twists, to accelerate. And then it's got like an ignition switch and you can lean, and it's really cool. It took like 30-minute, 40-minute sessions to build the thing. But we had a lot of fun doing it, and we did it together. And
dude, it's just so fun. Yeah,
my son, he liked it.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's fun. I love games like Lego Worlds and Minecraft because it's just, even when you're blasting bazookas, like it's all Lego-y cartoon, and we got young kids, so it's not like playing Grand Theft Auto yet or anything like that. And it's just fun, man. It's super cool to build. The building games is what's fun. Like, we are really enjoying Minecraft right now, and we haven't even. There's so much more both of us have to learn in the game, and it's just fun to experience that. So yeah, we've definitely been trying to fit in some game time as well as outside time and all that good stuff. But I did get surprisingly. I got the Game Pass, the Xbox for you can get it right now for $2 for 2 months.
Nice, yeah.
And Gears 5 came out, so I'm like, okay, all right, I'm gonna take advantage of this. And all I've done is download it and literally boot up the tutorial. But I'm a huge Gears fan, and
did you get,
Destiny's
Ultimate. Is that what it was?
Well, you can. Yeah, you can. Yep, you get that with the Game Pass. You can play that while, of course, as long as you have that. I downloaded it, jumped in, and I'm looking forward to jumping in over the next week. Maybe report next episode on what I've played. But I'm a big multiplayer Gears fan. I love the campaigns as well. I got several of the books, but I'm so in tune with Destiny. I was gonna say is that, like, I haven't watched much on this Gears, but I've owned every Gears prior to this, and I think maybe -1, but I don't think so. I think I've owned them all, and I just love multiplayer. Was always a thing. Me and my in real life buddies, we always played, and torque bow is one of my favorite weapons in the game ever. So. Yep, definitely going to spend some time playing some Gears.
I'm going to play it
for the next couple months.
I'm going to play it. If you had the Games Pass Ultimate, you could play it Friday, and then I think otherwise you can play Monday or Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in that.
Yep. So that's my reset, man. Maybe a couple nights on this week. I'm hoping to get maybe some more time in gaming time next week. Maybe not go to bed so early, but that's it. That's it.
Nice, man.
For me.
Well, let's do some Dirt Fam discourse before we run out of time here.
Yeah, let's do it.
An email.
We got an email, a brief one here. Let's see about it.
So awesome KDP the King writes, "Hey Derp crew." He's referencing an email that we got last week about building an all exotic build for your class. So he says, "This is awesome KDP the King. I'm Cyborg's neighbor from BR, which is Baton Rouge. Not actual neighbor, but we live close by. I was listening to the most recent podcast, and the subject for an all-exotic loadout for Quickplay came up. So, since I'm a hunter and you have trouble making a hunter loadout, here's one just for you guys." So, he picks Gunslinger with Way of 1,000 Cuts. His armor would be Foe Tracer for the helmet, arms, Shards of Galanor, chest, the 6th Coyote, feet, Frosties, and his weapons would be Ace of Spades, Jotun, and Truth. Sounds like a pretty beastly build right there. I'll give it to you. That's a good one.
I'm so glad he shared it with us too, because it was such a fun question. I mean, we could run with this all day in the Discord.
Yeah,
just endless power fantasy.
Yeah, why don't you, if you're listening, send us or pop in the Discord and give us your ultimate all exotic loadout. If you could put an exotic in every slot, what would it be? I'd like to see
What would it be?
If you're listening and you want to send us some discourse, you can send us an email, destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com, or a speakpipe.com/destinyreset. And we got to track down who's up for the SpeakPipe challenge.
We do. I think I was just thinking about this. I think it's Brother Elijah.
I think so.
We're gonna have to hit him up.
Brother, are you out there, brother?
Calling you out.
Can you hear us?
I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain.
I think you're right. All right, man. Do we have any patron shout-outs this week?
We don't. No new patrons. Okay. I don't even know that we have any pending. If we do, they've been pending for a long time.
Yeah. Well, if you don't know what a patron is, go to patreon.com/DestinyReset. And for as little as $1 a month, you can support the production budget of our show. You get a couple perks. You get a shout out on the show. You get your gamer tag on our website. And you get access to a Discord channel just for Dirt Fan patrons and supporters. As always, thank you every month for the listeners, the patrons that see fit to give us $1 or more month after month and support us. We really appreciate it.
Yep, of course. Very much appreciate it. You probably saw the channel move a little bit. I don't know that we mentioned that last week or this week. Maybe we did last week, but we had a little restructuring of the channels as well, put them in some categories and such. Right. So the patron supporter channel is still there. It's just in the general category.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I think we can call that a show. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube and Twitter. Arrow Knight with a 0. What about you, man?
I'm a CyborgSasquatch on Twitter. We are at Destiny Reset on Twitter and www.destinyresetpodcast.com. It's your source for all things DRP. If you're trying to find a link to something, head to the site. You can find it, including links to subscribe on your favorite podcast app of choice. Don't forget, we're on Spotify now. Also, Podbean is our new host, and you can find us there if you have the Podbean app. Be sure to follow us. And finally, thank you for the Apple Podcast reviews. We've got a new one. Who is it?
Have at it.
Nick_Eanes is a new listener and left us a very nice review. We appreciate it. So if you're listening, come and drop us a review, whether it's just some stars out of 5 or a written review. It helps us get seen and heard by more listeners just like you.
Yes, yep. We thank you, Guardians. We've got so many new reviews and so many new members dropping in the Discord. So many new listeners.
Yeah, welcome. Welcome.
It's fun. Yeah, welcome to everybody. That's a good idea. Welcome. And we're not even, we're, like you said, it seems closer than it is, but we're still a month out, man. We're going to see some people come back, and I think a lot of new Guardians too, so it's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
New lighting it, I suppose you could say. That was bad.
Hey, somebody had to do it.
We'll end the show on
Can we call the new Guardians new lighters?
New lighters. I think you just, together, and then you just coined it right there, man.
Boom.
I think we did it. If they made it this far, we'll see if it catches on.
There you go.
All right, guys. Until next reset, have fun playing Destiny 2, and take care, Guardians.